Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another session on our Spartans lockdown sessions. Thank you to everybody else, everybody who has been joining in so far. It's been great to see you so far. I'm looking forward to seeing more and more unfamiliar faces. It's great to get out there, great to be able to help out in some small way. I'm enjoying it, helping keep me sane during lockdown, and I hope it's helping you guys as well. So, for those of you that have done this in the last couple of weeks, it is a very, very similar structure to what we've done already. So what we're going to be looking at is a little bit of a warm-up, a little bit more of a strength section, and then we move into a more sort of high-intensity interval training section to finish off. So before we do start, just make sure you've got a kind of suitable area, suitable clothing, obviously, to be wearing. So make sure you're, I use this example every week, that you're not wearing socks on a laminate floor. You're not going to go sliding, falling over. If you do have any injuries, any illnesses, anything that you struggle with, do be cautious in that sense. So if you do find that you are prone to going over on your ankles, or maybe you have sore knees, sore hips, or bad back, anything along those lines, feel free to change the moves to suit you better. Okay. Otherwise, try and follow along as best you can. Last week we did have some issues with sound. I lost internet in here and had to go on to my data really quickly. But if that does happen, let one of us know. Put a hand up. Turn yourself off mute, and we'll get to it that way. So I have got, for the very first time, a microphone. I've never used one before, so I apologize if I'm coming across maybe too loud, because my tendency when I get further away from the camera is to shout a bit more. So if I am coming through a bit loud, I apologize. Just let me know, and I'll try and shut up a little bit. What we're going to start off with, is actually one of my favorite warm-ups. Any of the Spartans that took part in the lockdown 1 sessions, you may recognize this one. It's a nasal flow, a nasal breathing flow. So what I want you to try to do is try to work as hard as you can, but hard as you can while constantly breathing through your nose. Okay, so you're breathing through your nose, not allowing yourself to breathe in through your mouth. You're trying to try and breathe in through your nose at all stages. So that may mean you can't work as hard. That may mean you need to slow down through the moves. That's absolutely fine. But let's get going. So we're going to go for 8 minutes. 8 minutes is part of this warm-up. Let me just move that. What we're going to come into is just really simple. It's going to be 2 squats. Once you've done 2 squats, it's 2 reverse lunges. That's 1 on each side. And then when you've done that, it's a walkout. So you walk out into a press-up position. It is 2 press-ups. Now, when you've done that, you're back up onto your feet, and that's you ready to start round number 2. So 2 squats, 2 reverse lunges, 1 on either side. Then it's a walkout. One of my favorite exercises for a warm-up, and it's 2 press-ups. And you're going to try and flow between those as many times as you can in the space of 8 minutes. So I'll keep demoing. Again, the goal is to try and keep breathing through your nose as much as possible. Don't allow yourself to start panting. Now, if you do, because again, the temptation sometimes when you're fatigued, when you're tired, is just to huff and puff and breathe through your mouth. This, I want it to feel quite difficult. The breathing through the nose, the breathing through the nostrils will actually make it a little bit more challenging. It'll force you to slow down. So actually, taking your time through each move and making sure that it is good quality as you go through. Now, it is the warm-up. So again, if you're in a situation, or if you're in a place like me and it's absolutely freezing, which is why I'm layered up today, if it is absolutely freezing, take a bit of time. Just start off some shallower squats, fine. With the lunges, make them a little bit shallower. Don't go all the way to the floor. When you get to the press-up, drop to your knees. It's absolutely fine. We're working our way through. That is the goal, is just to get us warmed up and ready for the session ahead. Now, again, we're looking at breathing in steadily through the nose, through the mouth. Now, we're going to try and kind of ramp the effort up and ease off, and ramp it up and ease off, and kind of flow through it. So what I want you to try to do where possible is you're going to try to keep moving throughout, okay? So it doesn't matter if you have to slow right down. I want you to try and keep moving. Try not to, at any stage, try to at no stage come to a stop. So if you need to slow right down, that's fine. But we try and flow between these moves bit by bit by bit. We're just going to ease our way through it. So 2 squats, 2 reverse lunges, 1 walkout, and 2 press-ups at the bottom. And you'll work your way through that. Now, as it starts to feel easier when you're moving slowly, if it feels dead easy, start to speed up a little bit, start to make it a little bit harder, a little bit faster. And then if it gets to a stage where you're starting to really struggle to get your breath, slow it back down again. So it's that easing in, getting really, really used to getting in tune with your body. So actually realizing that you're still capable of functioning, still capable of moving, even when you're tired. You can still work, you can still provide quite a lot of stimulus, quite a lot of movement through the body. So you make things, oh wait, I'm forgetting my own workout. So again, 2 squats, 2 reverse lunges.
Neil, what squats have started?
Yes, yeah.
Right, okay.
Sorry guys, so we are actually 3 minutes in. I apologize if I didn't actually say that. I may not have said that. So we're 3 minutes in which case, if you are only just starting, you've got about 5 minutes left. Good, just looking at some of the cameras there. Apologies guys, I was just going through that demo, wasn't looking at the other cameras yet. So hope some people started. But again, it is still the same effort. What you may find, because it is a shorter block, or possibly a shorter block for some of you, is that it does cycle through that little bit quicker. So you do cycle through that little bit quicker, because again, it is easier to work harder over a shorter period. But yeah, as you work your way through this, as you keep going through this 8-minute block, of which we are now halfway through, so you're 4 minutes gone, 4 to go. As you work through, try not to come to a stop at any stage. Try and keep moving, try and keep flowing between those exercises. Change them up, change the demands. So even if you are perfectly capable of doing press-ups on your toes, if you need to, for the sake of moving, just drop down to your knees. It's all about just trying to keep moving, keep flowing through it. Because what you will find at some stage on the rugby field, whether you play touch, whether you play union, whether you play well, no matter what level you play at, you will find some stage when you are absolutely goosed and you don't want to move, but yet you have got a player on the opposition team who is coming right up your channel, and it's going to be your job to stop them, whether that is with a touch or whether that is with a tackle, and you will have to move to try and make that happen. Stopping isn't really an option, so you want to try and be able to move even when you're struggling for breath. So we're manufacturing that, because of course, if you get to a stage where you're absolutely gasping for breath in this situation, you cannot get it in through the nose, the fail-safe is just to open your mouth and breathe through your mouth. But we want to try and resist that. We're trying to manufacture some of that resistance ourselves without having to go hell for leather just yet. So again, going through that again, when we've got just over 2.5 minutes left, it's going to be that 2 squats, 2 reverse lunges, 1 walkout, and 2 press-ups. Looking good. Excellent. Right. Keep working, guys. Keep moving. I apologize. I'll definitely make sure I'll tell you when to start on the next one. So we've got 2 minutes remaining. 2 minutes remaining. Now, because it is a slightly different warm-up to what we've done in previous weeks, try to avoid, if possible, stopping, as I've already said. So try and work through. If you do need to grab yourself a drink, we will have a good 2 minutes before we start the main strength section when you can grab yourself a drink before we start that next section. So if you can resist it just for now and keep working through that same circuit. So 2 squats, 2 reverse lunges, 1 walkout and 2 press-ups. Again, now's the stage where it might get a little bit harder for you to try and get that breath in, because we're trying to work, take that level up. We're going to try and finish quite strong on this one. So it should be harder and harder for you to catch your breath. But again, still breathing in and out through the nose and through the nose only. You've got 1 minute and 7 seconds left. So we're going to try and keep working our way through that as best you can. So again, 2 squats, 2 lunges, 1 walkout, 2 press-ups. And it's just that nice transition between the two. Now, I've got obviously my sort of makeshift kind of platform, so I do have to move a little bit forward and back as I do it. But if you have got the room, you should hopefully be able to do this without moving your feet off the spot. So again, your reverse lunge, you can step back without, yep, I'm safe enough without falling off the box. For your walkout, you should hopefully have enough room in front. But obviously, if you don't have that, if you're in a fairly compact area, maybe you don't have a lot of floor space, maybe there's 2 of you in the same room, and there's not room to share, you can obviously, when you've done your walkout, take a step back. When you've done your lunges, take a step forward, whatever you need to do. Last 15 seconds. So I have to say, having this microphone in feels very strange. I can hear it. You probably can't see the cable running up through my beard and under my hat, but I can hear every now and again when I go too loud. And time there, guys, that is 8 minutes gone. 8 minutes gone, or maybe 5 minutes if you're a little bit later starting because of me. So what we're going to work on strength-wise, is a bit more core-based this time. Now, this one we can't really measure. I mean, if you have a stopwatch, there is ways that you can measure it, but we're going to look mainly at how much work you can squeeze into it. So what our main 3 exercises are going to be is going to be a plank, a side plank on the right, and a side plank on the left. Those are your 3 main exercises. Anytime you do one of those side planks, you're going to do it for best effort, okay? You're going to try and hold it as long as you possibly can. So your plank, you've got 3 options. So option number 1 is just a basic plank position. If you need to make it slightly easier, you can do that same plank position from the knees. And if you want to change your position slightly, you can come up into a full press-up position as another option. Those are your 3 options for the plank. For your side plank, same kind of thing. You can be on your elbow. You can have your knees bent, which is a slightly easier version. You can straighten your legs out, do your side plank from there, and you can extend up as well. Same thing on the other side. Now, but what's going to happen is, when you feel your plank, in the first 5 minutes, you'll do 2 squat jumps. When you've then you go straight back into a side plank. So I'll take you through. So again, if I was in regular plank, holding that position, and I've come to a position where I feel, I'll stand up, I'll come into 2 squat jumps, or hips down, explode up twice, and then I'll come into a side plank. When I feel that one, I'll jump up onto my feet and I'll go for 4 squat jumps. Then I'm into a side plank on the other side. Then it's 6 squat jumps, then 8, then 10, then 12. And every time you come back down, you swap to a different variation on that plank, okay? And each plank you hold it for best effort, because every time that you stop, you have to do +2 squat jumps. So 2 the first time you feel, 4 the second time, and that just climbs and climbs and climbs for 5 minutes. At the end of 5 minutes, we change the exercise, but I'll give you plenty of notice on that. Does that make sense, everybody? Give us a quick thumbs up if it makes sense. Cool, thumbs up there. Anybody that doesn't understand, there's a few more screens than usual. Just unmute yourselves, let me know, and I'll try and explain a little bit more. Cool, so let's make sure I know this time. So we're going for 15 minutes altogether, but don't worry, squat jumps is only for the first 5 minutes. We change it after 5 minutes. So let's go for regular plank, so forward plank, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, now that I've actually started that timer, I actually don't think I did tell you to start the warm up before. So again, you're holding that plank, front plank, forward plank, basic plank, whatever way you want to describe it. And it's best effort. And again, what you want to try and do is try and create some tension through the glutes. You're squeezing your glutes. You're also squeezing your quads. And you're trying to keep the core pulled in. What you want to try and avoid is any situation where your hips are up super high in the air, or equally where your hips are kind of hanging down and you're putting more pressure through your lower back. You want to try and keep that lower back as flat as possible. Now, at any stage, if or when you feel, you come into +2 squat jumps. 1, 2, and then immediately you're straight back down and you're into a side plank on there. So I've gone right side first. So then if I was to feel again, drop down, that would put me up into 4 squat jumps. So again, 1, 3, 4, and then immediately that puts me into left side plank. If and when I feel those, then that puts me into 6 squat jumps, but then puts me back into my front plank, into that regular plank. Let's have a look around the houses, see how we're doing. It's good. So quite a few screens. I'm trusting a lot of people. You know, if I can't see on the screen, I'm going to assume you're in a perfect plank position, that you're not just lying on the floor. Although that being said, if you want to lie on the floor throughout this, you absolutely go for it. You lie on the floor because you get out what you put into it. And if you want to lie on the floor, that's absolutely fine. Nobody can tell you any different. You shouldn't feel guilty about doing exercise or not doing exercise. If you're doing it, it's doing it because you want to, not because you have to. So looking good. Some nice solid positions. So again, plank, you want to try and imagine a straight line that runs from your earlobe through your shoulder joint, through your hip joint, through your knee joint, down to your ankle joint. All those should be in line. That's the plank kind of situation from it. In a side plank, same thing. The only difference is you would take it from your nose through your sternum, right down through your crotch, down to between your ankles. That's a straight line, or as straight as you can make it. What you don't want is to have a bent plank where it is sagging down or it's rounded up either way. You want to make it nice and flat. Imagine scaffolding. Imagine the planks that lay across in scaffolding. You want that nice and flat, nice and safe. Now, I'm going to start to introduce the next section. You've still got 2 minutes of this here. So again, front plank till you reach that point of failure. When you reach that point of failure, 2 squat jumps or +2 squat jumps. So it's always +2 from the previous failure. Okay, so wherever you got to, you add 2. So again, the more failures you have, the more of a break you have between planks, which is part of the goal. So it also makes you work that little bit harder in that sense. Now, you can choose whether you to start again at 0, or if you want a real challenge, try and continue climbing, because it's going to be +2 of the next exercise as well. So your next exercise is actually going to be 2 press-ups and 2 mountain climbers. So there's actually 2 exercises in the next one. So when we reach the 5-minute mark, that's still over a minute away. You're going to do the same thing. It's still going to be plank and side plank. But if you were to fail, you will do 2 press-ups plus 2 mountain climbers. Then it would be, the next round would be 4 press-ups. And then following that, 2, 3, 4 mountain climbers. Mountain climber, driving your knee in between your elbows. Again, try and keep your hips level with your shoulders, not up in the air, not sagging down either. So it's that balance between those 2 positions. So now again, every failure on those planks will add to +2 repetitions. We'll add to +2 repetitions. So you're 4.5 minutes in. It's up to you whether you decide to go back to 0 and start and continue from there. And again, there's no right answer on this, because again, if you go back to 0, you will spend more time in the plank. So you'll get benefits that way. But if you choose to do it the other way, you'll spend more time doing the press-ups and mountain climbers. It's up to you which way you decide to do it. We are now 5 minutes in, so there are now no more squat jumps. So now any failure you have now becomes press-ups and mountain climbers. Press-ups and mountain climbers. So again, +2, so starting on 0 if you're going to the slightly easier version, or continuing from where you left off. So 1, 2, and then 1, 2 for the mountain climbers. So each time a knee comes in, counts as 1. So right knee, left knee is 2 reps. Now again, might be tactical of you every now and again to actually deliberately fail, because if you go to absolute exhaustion on this, what may happen is that you will find the next set so much harder to do. Whereas if you actually choose to stop your plank a little bit earlier, so you don't go to absolute failure, it means that you're actually able to hold a more consistent kind of time altogether in that plank. So again, if I was here, this is my second failure, so I will have 4 press-ups to do. Again, you can do those press-ups how you want to. So we won't be counting these. There's nothing to count in this apart from, you know, in the individual time. 4. We won't be repeating this. Well, actually, we may be repeating this as a strength workout, but there's not really a way to measure your progress on this one as well as there is on the previous strength workouts that we've done. Me 4 mountain climbers, I'm getting those. So again, 4 press-ups, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm back into my side plank, this time on the opposite side. Now, for me, this is properly weird because now I've got my back to the camera. I know you guys can probably still hear me just as clearly through the microphone. Whereas usually I'd be shouting at the back wall of the gym to make sure it was heard. Now, you may be able to hear me huffing and puffing. And that's because I'm not holding my breath in the plank position. I'm trying to keep my core braced, core tight, but still have enough leeway to be able to breathe. If I'm at the stage where I am holding my breath, where I'm bracing so hard that I can't breathe, it is going to be a very short time in the plank position, a very short time indeed. So that's my 3rd failure. So that takes me to 6 press-ups and 6 mountain climbers. Again. Go. That will put me back into that front plank, but you guys have got 2 minutes remaining. Again, you have that option now of moving into the final 5 minutes, because again, we choose another exercise. In the final 5 minutes, you can choose whether to start again at 0. Doesn't matter whether you did in the last round or not. They're independent of one another. You can start again at 0, or you can continue from where we left off. So the difference being this time, your final exercise is going to be chest to floor burpees, chest to floor burpees. And again, you can take the impact out of it. There are different variations of that burpee that you can do. You can make it really explosive and really absolutely hammer the pace, or you can look at really controlling that movement. It's up to you what you think you would benefit from most. So again, it's the same 3 planks. So front plank, side plank on the right, side plank on the left, but every failure will be +2 chest to floor burpees. So +2 chest to floor burpees. So again, you could take it a bit more like a bodybuilder style movement, where you come down, hands down, jump your feet out into a press up, jump your feet in, stand up. So it becomes that kind of mechanical movement. Really good for anybody that has any problem with high impact movements. Your other option is then to go for speed instead, which would be to hands down, jump out, and try and string them all together that little bit more. But how you do it is completely up to you. How you do it is completely up to you. But it is getting yourself onto the floor, back off the floor, +2 times. As always, a bit late mentioning this, but in the strength section, if you need to stop at any stage, grab yourself a drink, do it. But keep in mind, if you stop while in the plank, that will count as a failure. You can't just stop in the middle of a plank and just say, right, I'll go back to where I was. It's not, it's going to be a new round. So you will accrue that. So we're coming into our last 5 minutes now in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're in the last 5 minutes now. At any point in this, it is burpees now. So there are no more press ups, no more mountain climbers, no more squat jumps, which we had in the first 5. At any stage now, any failure will be +2 of those burpees, +2 of those burpees. Again, still think about your movement. So we still want good quality planks. What we don't want to see is things where everything starts creeping out of alignment, where your hips are up in the air, where your belly is almost reaching the floor. You can feel that kind of pinch in your lower back. You want to keep that flat. So again, it's pulling belly button in, trying to keep that brace. So again, now because I'm doing that slightly easier version, I've got that straight line through my knees, through my hips, through my shoulders, up to my earlobes. If I want to make it the full plank version, that line now includes my ankles. So it's all one straight line through each of those major joints and my earlobes. Any failure, plus 2 burpees. It's up to you how explosive you make those burpees. Absolutely up to you, this one. So you will get 2 minutes to rest at the very end of this. Again, so you can grab more of a drink then. You've got 3.5 minutes remaining. As always, feedback is always welcomed. Mentioned it on about my social media. You can contact me there. So at Neil Gallagher Training. It is spelt like the Gallagher brothers of Oasis, but it is pronounced, importantly, Gallagher. There's no, the second G is silent. Although having lived in Manchester for the best part of 15 years now, I've just learned to accept it when people call me Neil Gallagher. So it's Neil Gallagher Training on Facebook and on Instagram. But alternatively, if you're not on social media, although that being said, if you're not on social media, how would you know about this? Feel free to contact me, neil@stockportgym.com. Any feedback, anything like that, guys, I will happily listen to. Anything you'd like me to put in future sessions, let me know about that as well. You have 2.5 minutes remaining. 2.5 minutes remaining. I am looking forward to getting back to rugby. Also, after Saturday, I was looking forward to spending most of this session ripping the piss out of the English team. Unfortunately, things didn't quite work out for Ireland, so I've decided to be fairly quiet. Although I will say I highly enjoyed Scotland's win on Saturday. That's as much as I'll say. Less than 2 minutes to go. Less than 2 minutes to go. So for anybody that is playing Union, wants to learn a bit more about the game, try and watch. I know the Spartans, we had a Zoom to watch the England and Scotland game, and it was well worth doing because you have access then to players who are maybe more experienced. You can learn from them. Especially if you're learning the game, they can kind of explain the situation, what's going on. And it's a really interesting way to stay in touch with your teammates. So if you guys are, from some of the other teams, it may be something worth suggesting to the organisers. It's obviously quite easy to organise a Zoom session. Saying that, I'm saying it's easy to organise a Zoom session. The wonderful Josh has been doing all this for me, so I am very grateful that he is sorting all that stuff out for me, because I wouldn't have a clue, because some of you guys from the first lockdown will notice the difference in quality of these sessions, or maybe production quality. Hopefully the quality of exercise is the same. You've got 40 seconds remaining. Now at this stage, I imagine the planks are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, but again, focus on that good quality movement. If you're having to change the movement, if you're having to do sloppy movement to stay in position, that's a failure. So make sure it's good quality movement that you're allowing yourself, that you're working through. You've only got 25 seconds remaining. 25 seconds remaining. Keep working right to the end of that. You will get time to recover. You will get time to let your heart rate come down, and then I will start to explain what is going on next. What is going on next? Almost there. Finishing off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time, guys. Time. Right, so that is our strength section finished. So grab yourself a drink, grab a sit down, have a quick stretch if you need it, if you feel you need it. It can be quite useful to do a cobra stretch, especially after a lot of planks. So basic cobra stretch where you lie on your belly and you can then just extend through the arms. If you're a little bit more flexible, press up through the hands. And again, nice deep breaths, and that can actually help just to stretch out, because if you've been bracing effectively, you may feel that's quite tight, quite sore at this stage. Now, what we are going to come into now is going to be pairs of exercises for blocks of time. So the first block is going to be 4 minutes, the second block is 3, then 2, and then finally 1 minute for the final exercise. What's going to happen is the first 4 minutes is 2 exercises. We are going to do some skater squats, and we're also then going to do some hip slap press-ups. You're going to go for 20 reps of each, and just keep alternating for 4 minutes. That's going to be your first 4 minute block. It's going to, it's going to be 20 reps of each, and you're going to keep swapping. The skater squat, you can make that as explosive as you want. It is a jump from side to side. So I'm going to demonstrate up on the platform in a second, but I'm not going to do the explosive one because I don't want a video of me going on. You've been framed still a thing. So what's going to happen is you're going to basically hop from one foot, come down, hop to the other side, and come down. Now again, you can make that quite explosive. I'm obviously in closed gym where there's only PTs training outdoors, so I've got tons of room around me, so I can actually push right off and really drive out into it each time. That's 10 in each direction, so that's 20 reps in total. If I don't have a lot of room, I can turn it into a curtsy lunge where I step across, come down, step across, and come down. So I take the explosiveness out of the movement, and it means you're not going to be bumping into things or bumping into somebody next to you. You can make that as big or as small as you want. To show you a bit more from, you can actually see my legs a little bit shortened because obviously I'm on some wooden boxes. So that's step out, come down, step out, come down. And the more explosive version is that stride out, and the foot comes down as you come into it. There we go, falling off the box. The other one is press up position, hip slaps. It's 20 reps, tap, 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 tap. And there's 20 reps of that tap. When you've done 20 reps, you're back onto the skater squats for 4 minutes. Does that make sense to everybody? Give us another quick thumbs up if that makes sense. Good, looks all right to me there. If you're not sure, unmute yourself, ask a quick question. Happy to repeat anything that you need me to do. But we're going to go for 4 minutes, 20 reps of each, as many rounds as you can squeeze in. Going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go for it. So into those skater squats. And if you're not quite sure or not quite comfortable with the skaters, just turn it into a curtsy lunge, which is a little bit less dynamic. You step from side to side rather than jump from side to side. And again, this is actually going to be quite useful in any code of rugby, because rugby, as much as you do run into people and people will run into you, even in touch where maybe you're not meant to, you will find rugby is about evasion, about trying to move around people. And if you can only run in a straight line, it's very easy to target you as a player. I know, because I'm only very good at running in a straight line, so I tend to get targeted an awful lot in that sense. But if you can shift yourself from side to side quite quickly and quite strongly, you will find you can evade players. And if you can evade players, you can make ground. You can be a more useful player. You can be a more useful attacking player. Because ultimately, as well as working on fitness, this is what we're trying to improve. Now, with the skater squats, another way to imagine it is if you watch speed skating at the Olympics, that same kind of drive and movement side to side. So you're involved, you're using the core, you're using your legs, you're exploding out each time. You're 1 minute and 20 seconds in. You are 1 minute and 20 seconds in. Now, the next one is going to be legs and core. Pretty much like this one is actually, legs and core. You then, when you've done your skaters, so 20 reps, 10 in each direction, it is that press up, hip slap. So reach back, tap your own thigh, tap your own hips. And it's just 20 reps. Try and keep yourself quite stable in the middle, so try not to be rocking from side to side as you go. So you're trying to keep yourself moving in that sense. This is good. 2 minutes in, 2 minutes left to go. 2 minutes in, 2 minutes left to go. They're looking good. So, really interesting thing as well came up with one of my clients who actually does play for the Spartans, is doing some sprint work. So what I suspect is that several teams across the country, and in several sports across the country as well, I imagine are going to struggle with things like hamstring pulls and strains when we first get back to playing, because they will not have been conditioned to doing lots and lots of sprinting. What I would recommend, that if you do running as part of any part of your current kind of lockdown training, is that you do maybe dedicate some time, not a lot of time, because little doses will make a big difference in this, is some time to actually working on your top speed, your maximum speed. Because we are 3 minutes in, you've got 1 minute of this one left to go. Because if you are better at running at your top speed, it improves an awful lot of things. It improves your acceleration. It improves your fitness, because the faster you can go, the easier it is to go that little bit slower. You know, if your car can only go 20 miles an hour and you spend every time right at the limit of 20 miles an hour, it's not going to last that long. If your car can go 40 miles an hour and you tootle along at 20 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour feels dead easy. 30 seconds remaining, 30 seconds remaining. So essentially, try to avoid hamstring strains by being used to it. So by looking, and this is how I kind of plan my training for any of my clients, is I kind of look at the end goal and try and work my way backwards from that end goal, and try and work out the steps to get to that stage. So our end goal, I'll tell you in a second, is in 5 seconds, we're going to finish. 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. Okay, guys, you get 1 minute. You get 1 minute. The next one we're coming into is again 20 and 20. So you're going to do 10 split squats per side. So 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, 10 split squats. As soon as you've done 10 split squats on that side, straight away swap over 10 split squats on that side, and then you're going to go straight onto the floor, and then we're going to come into 20 crunches. So the crunches, reach in your hands between your legs and try and reach as far down through the legs as you possibly can. Now you can do this legs slightly bent like I'm doing, or you can do it legs straight. It's just a crunch movement, but it's 20 reps of that, and then you're back up onto your feet into those split squats. That is coming up in 10 seconds time, 10 seconds time. Going in for 3 minutes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 10 split squats per side, as many rounds as possible. So again, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Just drop your knee down. Try and get it to lightly tap the floor, then come back up. Try and keep your knee above your ankle as well. So you'll notice I'm not actually moving forward and back, I'm just moving up and down in that movement. When you've done 10, do 10 on the other side, and then 20 crunches after that. 20 crunches after that. Looking good. So this is 3 minutes, this one. So this is a minute shorter than the previous one. But yes, what I was saying before, really quickly, is that you try to look at your end goal. Our end goal, essentially, of our fitness is our first game back. And again, whatever code that is, whether it is competitive league rugby, whether it is social rugby, whether it is touch rugby, it is absolutely the same process. You look at what the end goal is. So for instance, I play 15s league, or in union obviously, but in competitive leagues. So what we look for, there's going to be lots of impact, lots of sprinting, lots of kind of wrestling style moves. Now obviously we can't work on wrestling because we're not allowed to get that close, but I can work on my overall strength. I can work on my sprinting ability. So those are the kind of things, the building blocks are going to take me to that end goal. When we are allowed to add in contact again, it's going to be something that I'm going to really work on for myself, and what I would recommend that a lot of people work on for themselves for contact rugby in particular. But yeah, figure out what your end goal is, and then you can figure out the steps to how to get there. And that was probably one of the biggest fitness tips I can give you. We are almost 2 minutes in. We got 1 more left to go. So again, it is those split squats, 10 per leg. Then it is going to be, as soon as you have done those, it is your 20 crunches as well. 20 crunches as well. Let's have a little look around the cameras, see how things are going. Legs will probably be starting to feel tired, starting to burn a little bit. If you do have any added weight, if you have a kettlebell or a pair of dumbbells, feel free to hold them while you do your split squats. So you can hold kettlebell goblet squat style under the chin, or you can hold dumbbells either side of the body, and it just adds on that extra little bit of weight. Now we've got reverse crunches and toe taps, crab toe taps coming up, which I'll demo for you now in just a second. But you'll have a minute to rest in 10 seconds time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. Okay, guys, so your next one is going to be reverse crunches, So again, lying on the floor to begin with, legs up into the air, and then from there, you're trying to basically tilt your hips in. That's all the movement is, just there. You can relax your head back. Just that small movement, not a lot of swing, a lot of control in that movement. So you're not trying to throw your legs over your head. It's just that little crunch and back down. That's all there's, 20 reps. As soon as you've done 20 reps, you're then into lift your body weight off the floor. You're going to lift right hand, tap your toes on your left side. Same thing on the other side. So it's that toe tap, toe tap, toe tap. And it's going to be 20 reps of that. We're going for that in 10 seconds time. So your reverse crunches, yes.
Easier version of the second one, my shoulders are knackered.
So an easier version of that one, if you come into an X crunch, so everybody else get going in 3, 2, 1. Easier version is just another variation of the crunch. You'd be lying X shape, and again, crunch up, tap shoulder, tap toes on the opposite side.
Yes, thank you.
No problem at all. So again, that goes for anybody. So those are the things. If you do need any alternatives at any stage, guys, I'll be ready for them. Just ask me, just unmute yourself for a few quick seconds and I can do that. Now this one is only 2 minutes long, so we're not getting huge amounts of rounds in there. It's only 2 minutes. So each one, like I said, 4 minutes we've done, 3 minutes we've done, 2 minutes we're doing. You may be able to guess. I think I already told you. The last one is just 1 minute long. But yeah, at any stage, if you need an alternative and you're not sure what to do, just quickly unmute yourself. Let me know the situation. I'll try and let you know. You can send a message as well through the chat, but there's no guarantee that I'll see that because I'm usually wandering around or talking to myself for most of it. I quite like it when people unmute themselves. It means I'm not just shouting into the void. So again, those reverse crunches. Now, if you need a little bit of assistance for them, you can just take knees bent and actually use a little bit of momentum. So almost just that little kick just to help you out. But if you want to make it really challenging, just that crunch and stop each time. So every rep is from a dead stop. But we've only got 20 seconds remaining. So the crab toe touches, hands behind your back, lifting your hips up off the floor, tap toes on the opposite side. Last 7 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, you've got 1 minute again. Now the last one is a bit of a cheat because we've got 2 exercises, but it's really just 1 exercise combined. That is 2 exercises combined. So what we've got is a tombstone burpee. A tombstone burpee is a burpee to the front and then a get up to the rear, and it's just going to alternate 1 and 1. So all I want you to do is 1 burpee. As soon as you're done, up. As soon as you've done that 1 burpee, I want you to lie down onto your back, and then you're straight back up onto your feet. Once you're on your feet, it's your next burpee, and it's just that forward and back, as many reps as you can in 1 minute. Yep. Now, if you're more flexible than me, you may be able to go from your feet down onto your back without going down onto your knee. If you need to take several steps in between, that's fine. Let's go for our final round. 1 minute in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go for it. So tombstone burpees. I'm going to do this round on the floor because the box is a bit narrow. So you may have to listen to me huffing and puffing my way through the set myself. Again, 45 seconds to go. Again, like I said, with flexibility, if you are more flexible than I am, you may be able to do your get up directly onto your feet from the floor. I'm not, so I need to get myself onto my knee first. 25 seconds. We'll work ourselves right to the very end. 15 seconds. Last 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. We are done. We are finished. That is the end of today's workout. That is the end of today's session. Now, if you enjoyed that, as always, like I said earlier, leave me some feedback. Any way I can improve, I want to try and improve as best I can. So at Neil Gallagher Training on Facebook, on Instagram, or neil@stockportgym.com, or alternatively, let your team captains know or your team contacts know. They can feed back to Spartans team contacts and they can feed back to me. It's absolutely fine, whatever way you decide to reach out. Anything in particular you'd like to work on, let me know. Jesus, I am gasping for air after 40 odd seconds of work for myself. So yeah, anything you want to work on, you'd like me to put in sessions, or maybe I can explain better in sessions, let me know and I will do my very best for that. But as always, guys, everybody that joined in, familiar faces, unfamiliar faces, you are very welcome. I look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Neil, is it possible to recommend some stretches for the end?
Yes, absolutely. What I might, do you know what we'll do? Then if nobody's rushing off, we can spend 2 or 3 minutes going through that. Any particular areas you want to work on? Tomorrow. Say again, sorry?
Legs, I think. Legs are going to be fit.
Legs, absolutely fine. So, seeing as we worked pretty hard in that session on the legs, let's do this from a lie-in position. So, find yourself a spot to lie down on. So, I'll whiz through these a little bit, but if you want to spend a bit longer, spend a few minutes going through these stretches yourselves after the session's finished. But if you lie yourself onto your side, keep your bottom knee bent, so it helps you with stability. You can rest on your arm or on your hand, but top leg, just pull the foot up towards the bum and just pull that hip back ever so slightly, or pull that foot back ever so slightly. Now, as you're pulling back, try and squeeze the glutes, bum muscles, and drive your hips forward. Feel that stretch coming down through the front of the quad. Now, you can extend that even further by trying to roll almost forward onto your belly, or quarter way forward onto your belly. Now, I don't know if you guys can get the depth perception, but I've chosen a terrible place to lie because I'm right at the very edge of the box here, trying not to fall off. You can then do the same thing on the other side. And we're just doing 10 to 15 seconds in each position. But if you want to extend that, work sort of 30 seconds plus on that stretch. If you check out my YouTube channel, again, Neil Gallagher Training, you will find there's like a flexibility series on there if anybody's interested. 4-week series, 3 sessions a week. Really decent kind of beginner levels of flexibility. Next one, from there, if you cross one foot over the opposite knee, so you can try and get your ankle on top of your knee. You're then going to reach through and grab your hamstring of the bottom leg, and then you're going to lie back onto the floor. So again, lying back, and just try and drop your head gently to the floor behind you. You should then hopefully feel that on the glute of the top leg. So I've got my right leg on top, so I'm feeling that in the glutes on the right side. If you want to make that more effective, if you're more flexible than I am, you can bend that bottom leg, grab your shin instead, and again, try and lie back into it. You can see there I'm basically pretzeled up, so I'm going to go back to the other one. And then from there, swap sides. So again, that twist, just knee out, you reach forward, grab the hamstring, and lie back into it. So yeah, if you would like me to do a little bit more on flexibility towards the end of each session, let me know. I'm quite happy to do that. Slot that in there. You'll not have to ask me twice to have a lie down and rest. Then last one, if you bend one leg, leave one leg straight out along the floor, and just come into just 10 dynamic kicks up and over the head, just nice and smooth on the way up, not trying to wrench anything. And then once you've done 10, on the 10th one, just reach forward, grab your calf, or grab your hamstring again, and just draw that in gently towards your chest. Again, you're not trying to bring your shin to your forehead, not immediately. You're just trying to make sure you feel that tension running down the back of the leg, feeling that through the hamstring. Now you can extend that by either pulling in that bit tighter, or you may be able to see that my leg's not 100% straight, so I can hold in that same spot and try and straighten my leg that little bit further. That's a way to kind of increase the tension on that stretch. Same thing on the other side. So again, don't forget the 10 kicks first to kind of allow yourself to get into that deeper stretch position. Then on the 10th one, just that little crunch, reach up, grab the back of the calf. Now if that's too far, you can still grab the hamstring. Just draw back gently in towards the chest. After a few seconds, if you want to make it tighter, like I said, draw it tighter towards the chest, or keep it in the same position, but try and straighten your leg even more. And you should hopefully then feel that a little bit more intensely through the hamstrings. So there's a couple of basic ones. Like I say, if you want me to include a bit more flexibility in weeks going forward, just let me know, and I'll have a bit more of a thorough all-encompassing stretch planned for the end of each session. But as always, this is Neil signing off, and I will see you guys next week. Well done.
Thanks very much.
You are very welcome.
Cheers, Neil.
Thanks, Neil.
Bye.
You're very welcome. See you next week.